Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Tucker. I'm the senior minister here at the Oasis. And I always like to introduce this wonderful team that God has provided me. Excuse me, because I couldn't do this without them. First of all, here is my faithful assistant, Faith, who has been basically my assistant since the day she was born. She was actually assisting her dad, but everything her dad was doing was assisting me because he was on the soundboard. So I look at it like she was my assistant. But anyway, as soon as she could crawl, she crawled right up on the stage like, I belong here. And so I started putting her on the podium when I would do announcements. And I think people paid more attention that way. But anyway, she grew up like 6 blocks from my house and would come over and do all these projects with me because her dad would go on out of town tows and he would drop Hannah and Faith off at my house. And so I'd put him to work. I always had a project for us to do because, I'm a workaholic. So I was always working back then. And anyway, so at 14 and a half, she said, I really want a real job. And I said, okay, you're hired. So I hired her for my ozone business. And then when we went live online here, I hired her for my assistant here at the church. So that's the background on Faith. She is the woman behind the screen. She does everything. I just talk. And so I really couldn't do this without her. And then on top of that, she's also our soloist. So I really appreciate you for that, by the way. And today she's going to be singing Lighten Up by Karen Drucker. That's one of my favorite songs that she does because it's so out of the norm for what she does. Yeah. All right. And then there is my partner in crime, the wise and powerful Oz. And Oz was my first baby practitioner, meaning he took all of his training with me except for one class that he did at Mile High. And then became my board president for many years. I've lost track of how many years it was. And then moved off to Florida.
25 years ago.
No, it was 25 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I was 2 months old when I started.
Right. Me too.
Yeah.
And
I
so
think you were 4.
I was 4. Oh, yeah. I'm a little older. Just a tad. Anyway, he moved off to Florida, and so we lost the ability to have him be our practitioner of the day. So when we started doing these services online, we were able to get Oz back with us. And normally he broadcasts from Florida. Now he's in Wisconsin for the summer. I got called on my comment that all my friends leave in the summertime. Reverend Catherine said, I don't leave in the summertime.
She's a brave woman.
Oh, I know. And she goes, more swimming. I'm like, okay. But I started to think about it, and true. I mean, Reverend Catherine, Reverend Marilyn, they don't leave. And my beach buddy Billy doesn't leave. So I do have friends there in the summer. It's just that the people that I usually stay with are gone. Because I stay with Aurelia and you and Grace is now, I don't know where she's living. She went to Connecticut for a short time and then she moved somewhere else.
Yeah, and she ended up living right next door to my friends, Mike and Ron.
Yeah.
That was a strange coincidence.
I know, right?
So funny.
I was just talking about that the other day, about how their house is at the end of this park. And it's like really secluded other than that, and that's kind of cool.
One neighbor, and it's somebody that Tucker knew 30 years ago.
Yeah. She worked for home office. Yeah. It was just crazy. But I used to stay with her too. So all the people that I normally stay with leave every summer. So I should be more clear about that because I don't want to insult Catherine or Marilyn or Billy. So that being said, he is broadcasting from Wisconsin, which is his summer home. And he is our practitioner of the day. Meaning that he does our invocation.
Someone's running around.
Our benediction. And he's available at the end for our 1-minute miracle after the service. And I'll explain more about that later. But we could not do this without you, Oz. So thank you so much for being here. We love you. Okay. And then there's the adjunct music team that do not appear on camera, but they have provided all the music that we use every Sunday. And that is Reverend Ferry Elaine Silver and Karen Drucker. I always like to mention them because we couldn't do this without them. Anytime we've tried to do contemporary music, either Facebook or YouTube mutes us. And so when they said they wanted me to use their music, I was like, yeah, it's very nice to be able to have a whole service. So I'm not a talking head for an hour. Say hi, hello, good morning if you're here. Let us know that you're here. When we're in a facility, I can look out and see the shining faces beaming back at me. I don't have that capability with the software. I see a number. I don't even see names. So say hi, hello, good morning, however you want to greet us. And if you're stopping by later, just say hello. Let me know that you stopped by. There is a watch party button. Oh. There's a watch party button. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted at the moment. There's a watch party button where you can invite all of your friends to watch the service. And it's a great way for them to see what kind of services they can have when they come here on Sunday. But it's also an opportunity for you to answer any questions they might have, because it is it's private, so you're not bothering anybody. And I think it's a great way for them to be able to ask questions. And so click on that watch party button, invite all your friends, and just enjoy the service. The topic today is Lighten Up, and it's based off the same song that we're going to do with Karen Drucker. So close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
The presence of God, for God as we conceive of it, is all that is, eternal, all-powerful, everlasting. It is in all things as all things. God exists right here in me and in you. Not all of God, but all that we are is God. It's an expression of that one great force. I know that that great force is what moves through our service today and what moves through each of our lives for every moment. I express that in this prayer and in all times, as is my ability to do so. And I know that the blessings of God flow forth through each and everything. And I know that this is true for you and for all time. I give thanks that this is so, and I let it be. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Oz. Goodness. This next song is one of Reverend Ferry Lane Silver's that she wrote when she was in practitioner training. And it's a great reminder of how connected we are. So if you know the words, sing it loud and sing it proud, because you can't bother anybody. And if you don't know them, learn them, because it's a great way to remind yourself that you are connected to all of life.
We are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. I hear it and know it, my being. Spirit is all I am seeing. For God is all there is. Grateful am I to be living, open to what I receive, honoring what I've been given, sharing now what I believe. I remember the oneness around me. I surrender to infinite light, knowing the love that's surrounding me is within me by day and night. And we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it. Yes, we are all one. We are all one. We are all one in it.
Yes, we are all one in it. We are one with all of life. Please say hi, good morning, hello, however you'd like to greet us. Let us know that you're here. And if you stop by later, just say hello. If you like something that you hear, whether that's something I say or Faith sings or Oz prays, use that thumbs up button to let us know that you like it. Send us hearts if you love it, because we love to get love. And if something strikes you as really, really powerful, by all means, use that wow button, because it's a great way to know when we're on track. And, it's really important. The feedback is really important to me. So use that wow button if something really strikes you as powerful. Without further ado, here is Faith singing Lighten Up with attitude.
I was walking down the street, I was feeling mighty fine, until I caught a glimpse in a window of my behind. There was a jiggle and a wiggle that I never seen before. Oh, as I looked a little closer, oh my God, I found more. I freaked out and I shrieked that this has just ruined my day. Until I heard a voice inside me and say, lighten up. Don't take it so seriously. Lighten up. Trust the mystery. Lighten up. It doesn't matter anyway. Just enjoy your life and get out of your way. Lighten up. So I'm headed to this party. To me, my friends, I've got an outfit that's right for. Oh my God, I'm just living it. As I scope out the scene, this is obvious to me that the money at this party is simply obscene. If we talk about their mansions, then their yachts and drop the names, and then I feel unworthy, small and ashamed. But as I tried my new beeline to make out the door, I heard a voice inside me saying once more, lighten up. Don't take it so seriously. Lighten up. Trust the mystery. Lighten up. It doesn't matter anyway. Just enjoy your life and get out of your way. Lighten up. Worrying, dodging, what good does it do when I compare myself to me and I compare myself to you? This disease to please has just got to go. When I love myself, that's all I need to know. Cause it's a mirror, cause the wrinkle has appeared. Do I curse? Do I stress? This is the thing I most fear. But I remember my new mantra, and I soon realized that I am perfect even with wrinkles and cellulite. I don't have to change a thing, struggle or try, cause the real beauty that's from where you've been inside. Lighten up, don't take it so seriously. Lighten up, trust the mystery. Lighten up, it doesn't matter anyway. I just enjoy my life and get out of my way. Lighten up, doesn't matter anymore. Lighten up, gonna mystery. Lighten up, it doesn't matter anyway. I'll just enjoy my life and get out of my way. Lighten up. I'm just gonna give myself something. Lighten up, it feels so good to lighten up.
Thank you, Faith. Boy, that's the truth, man. You know, we're always looking at ourselves and, you know, we see the cellulite and the wrinkles and the fat and, you know, the jiggly behind, all of that stuff. And so appreciation of ourselves and not comparing ourselves to others is going to be the topic today. But first, I want to read something for you because I love this. I love Dr. Seuss anyway, but I love to read Dr. Seuss stuff because there's such a hidden meaning in a lot of it. Like when we're little kids, we don't get that. We just get the fun stuff that's in the story. But as adults, we can look at it and go, wow, there's a lesson in there. So today I'm going to read Gertrude McFuzz. There once was a girl bird named Gertrude McFuzz, and she had the smallest plain tail ever was. One droopy droop feather, that's all that she had. And oh, that one feather made Gertrude so sad. She curled it, she dyed it, she gave it a puff. She decked it with flowers, but it wasn't enough. For no matter what, it was just what it was. A tail. Oops, hang on. I lost my cursor. There we go. Sorry about that. For no matter what, it just was what it was, a tail that simply wasn't meant to catch the eye of an elephant. The one feathered tail of Miss Gertrude McFuzz. For there was another young bird that she knew, a fancy young birdie named La 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 Loo. And instead of one feather behind, she had two. Poor Gertrude, whenever she happened to spy Miss La 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 Loo flying by in the sky, she got very jealous. She frowned and she pouted. Then one day she got awfully mad and she shouted, "This just isn't fair. I have one, she has two. I must have a tail just like La 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 Loo." So she flew to her uncle, a doctor named Dake, whose office was high in a tree by the lake. And she cried, "Uncle Doctor, oh please, do you know of some kind of pill that will make my tail grow?" "Tut, tut," said the doctor, "such talk, how absurd. Your tail is just right for your kind of bird." Then Gertrude had tantrums. She raised such a din that finally her uncle, the doctor, gave in, and he told her just where she could find such a pill, on a pillberry vine on the top of a hill. "Oh, thank you," chirped Gertrude McFuzz, and she went straight to the hill where the pillberry grew. Yes, there was the vine, and as soon as she saw it, she plucked off a berry and started to gnaw it. It tasted just awful, almost made her sick. She wanted that tail, so she swallowed it quick. She felt something happen. She felt a small twitch, as if she'd been tapped down behind by a switch. And Gertrude looked round, and she cheered it was true. Two feathers exactly like La 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 Loo. Then she got an idea. "I know what I'll do. I'll grow a tail better than La 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 Loo. These pills that grow feathers are working just fine," so nibbled another one off of the vine. She felt a new twitch, and then Gertrude yelled, "Whee! Miss La 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 Loo has only just two. I have three." When La 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 Loo sees this beautiful stuff, she'll fall right down right on her face, sure enough. I'll show her who's perfect. I certainly will. Well, I'll make my tail even prettier still. She snatched up those berries that grew on the vine. She gobbled down 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And she didn't stop eating, Miss Gertrude McFuzz, until she'd eaten 3 dozen, all that there was. Then the feathers popped out with a zing and a zang. They blossomed like flowers that bloom in the spring. All fit for a queen, what a sight to behold. They sparkled like diamonds and gumdrops and gold. Like spaghetti, like satin, like lace. They burst out like rockets all over the place. They waved in the air and they swished in the breeze, and some were as long as the branches on the trees. And still they kept growing. They popped and they popped until long about sundown they finally stopped. And now, giggled Gertrude, the next thing to do is to fly straight home and show Lala Lelu. And when Lala sees these, why, her face will get red, and she'll let out a scream and fall right down dead. She spread out her wings to take off the ground, but with all those feathers, she weighed 90 pounds. She yanked and she pulled and she let out a squawk, but that bird couldn't fly, couldn't run, couldn't walk. All through that night, she was stuck on that hill, and Gertrude McFuzz might be stuck up there still if her good Uncle Dake hadn't heard the girl yell. He rushed to her rescue and brought along help. They lifted Gertrude up, almost broke all their beaks, and fly her back home. It took almost 2 weeks, and then it took almost another week more to pull out those feathers. My Gertrude was sore. And finally, when all the pulling was done, Gertrude behind her had just had one. That one little feather she had as a starter, but now that's enough because she's smarter. Isn't that a great story? It's funny how things from our childhood are, a lot of cartoons and stuff have these deeper messages that we as kids just didn't get. And when adults look at these cartoons like Aesop's Fables, that kind of stuff, we see the message. Sometimes we don't even get that message, but I love that story for many reasons. One of the biggest lessons I take out of that is not to envy others. We can look at someone else's life and think that they have this perfect life. I learned that lesson early on in the ministry. I had a friend who invited me over for dinner, and I always thought she had such a perfect relationship with her husband. I always, felt like, gosh, I wish my relationship with my husband was like that. And I go for dinner, and we sit down to have dinner, and all she did was harp at him and complain at him and put him down. And I just realized all of a sudden, because I always thought she was such a happy person, I just all of a sudden realized that she was not as happy as I thought she was. And that's usually the way it is. When we look at someone else's life and we say, I want that life because it looks so much better than ours, usually it's not as good as it looks, right? We don't know what happens behind closed doors, and we're all, as human doings, I like to say we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and so we're human doings. We human doings very often look at our lives and think there's something missing, and instead of fixing what's missing, we look at someone else's life and we see that looks perfect to us, and if we only had that life, we'd be happy, right? It's kind of a human condition that we all share. And truly, nothing is as perfect as it seems in someone else's, life. Like, that saying, grass is always greener over there. Well, truly, if you look at your own grass, you will see that it's just as green. It just looks greener because you see it over there, right? You don't see all the things that are going wrong in the lawn. Like, my lawn is very lumpy, and it has a lot of clover in it, and it has some crabgrass. And, I look across the street and I go, oh my God, his lawn is so beautiful. When I get over there, I start seeing little crabgrass and little clover and that kind of stuff. But from afar, it looks really good. And so when we envy others, or we envy others' lives, or we envy others' whatevers, what we're doing is we're not taking into account all the good things that are in our own life. And when you compare yourself to someone else, you either come up long or you come up short, one way or the other. There's just no even keel with that. And if I feel better than someone else, if I put them down to make myself feel better, we feel better for that moment, but later there's like a gnawing in our belly, because really there isn't any better or worse, or there's no fat, there's no skinny, there's no, it's our perception of things, right? There is no good or bad. There is no ugly or pretty. Here's the thing. Here's the tea on that, is that we were made in the image and likeness of God, and we are made of God's stuff. Now, can you imagine looking at God and saying, what an ugly creature? No, you would never do that. So why would you look at God's creations and say that? I had this lady that used to do my waxing, and although we come from very different religious perspectives, she said something one day. I don't even know how we got on the topic, but she said something one day that was so profound for me that it changed everything that I thought about. She said, when she looks at herself and finds flaws, she feels like she's insulting God. And I thought, wow, truly, that is the lesson, because God doesn't make junk. And so all of this, whatever we are, is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. We just don't see it that way. We have a perception that, yeah, could I lose a little bit of weight? Sure. But that's in my control to do so, right? When I go to the gym, I won't tell you that I don't look around and go, wow, I'd love to have a body like that. But I don't have the dedication to go to the gym every day to create the body like that, right? So it's in my control to have that body if I really wanted it bad enough that I was willing to work for it, right? And pretty much that's what everything is. We look at somebody who's very prosperous and say, I want the kind of money that person has. Well, if you're willing to do the work to get that money, and I'm not talking about 9-to-5 jobs, there's, going to investment seminars, there's learning how to create passive income streams. There's all of that kind of work that goes into having that kind of money. There's also budgeting. Look, we hate that B word, don't we? Because when you look at somebody that has a lot of money, they don't spend the money frivolously. They take time to only buy those things that have value for them. And so when we look at somebody and we go, I would like to have the kind of money they have, that's in our control. If we want to have that kind of money, we have to work on our belief systems. We have to, that anything that keeps us from making money, and we have to look at how to be good stewards of that money. And then we have to look at how to invest that money, right? And so if we were willing to put in the work, we could have that. If we look at someone's life and we say, gosh, she has such great health, and we are not willing to put in the work to have that kind of health. And in my case, here's what I think. I think going to the gym is great. I think eating properly is great. I'm not down on anybody for any of the outside actions that they take. But for me, the key to it all is looking at myself and my beliefs and understanding why I've created the life that I have. Because I can always create another life, a better life, if I will only look at my belief systems and make the changes necessary to do that. So if I put in that work, then I'm guided to the right diet. I'm guided, not diet like, lose weight diet, but the right, good, healthy foods. I'm guided there. I'm guided to go to the gym. I'm guided to take care of my body. I'm guided to do all of that. So I think it's important that we recognize that no one's life is as perfect as it seems on the outside. I have often thought that when I see my friends who really work at maintaining their health, I've always thought it would be really nice to do that. But anytime I've tried to make a change from the outside in, it hasn't worked for me. It only works if I make the change inside first, and then I am guided and led to those habits, so to speak. And then the other thing, the second lesson that I take from Gertrude McFuzz is appreciation. And again, I need to appreciate the body that was created. We have our bodies are amazing, how they process food, how they metabolize. All of that is so amazing that I look at that as a miracle, right? that how the body works is just a miracle. You put certain things in, you get certain things that come out. Much like plants, for example, we give out carbon dioxide. They breathe in the carbon dioxide and give us oxygen. It's so interesting when you think about all of the miracles it takes to maintain the world as we know it. Trees, I'm always talking about my trees. I love my trees. But I became appreciative of a couple of things. One is letting go of control, for one thing, because God knows how to grow my trees better than I do, apparently. When I started with my trees, I used to be a sun worshiper. I still am to a certain extent, but I can only do it for short periods of time, or I can do it, when I'm on vacation and I can get in a cold water or something. But I used to love being in the sun and being hot. I don't love that so much anymore, or my body doesn't love being hot anymore. And so I'm craving shade more and more these days. So I used to have this really heavy beating down sun on my porch, on my front porch. And at that time, I just wanted a little bit of shade. So I went to this nursery, and I know the guy thought I was nuts, but I went to this nursery, and we're driving in one of those little golf cart things up and down the aisles. And he's like, what about that tree? No, that doesn't do it. No, what about that? No. And I didn't know what kind of tree I wanted. And all of a sudden, this tree called out to me, I didn't hear anything, but this tree was like vibrating and I could feel it. And I said, I want to go see that tree. And I jumped out of the cart and I ran up to that tree, and I basically was hugging that tree and loving on that tree. And we planted it, and it has just become a monster. I mean, like, it has been so healthy in our yard. It was like the tree. And I think that was pretty much God guiding me to the right tree. But what also happened was all of my trees have now completely, there's like a canopy of shade on my porch. So I'm always in the shade, and I love it because I can't handle the heat anymore. So it's perfect. My neighbor hates it because she's still a sun worshiper, and she feels claustrophobic on my porch because literally there's a branch that comes over the entire length of my porch. But the other thing that all of that has done is that, I have a cockatoo named Buddy. And I lost a cockatoo to a predator one time. And so I'm always cautious about these red-tailed hawks that are in our neighborhood that fly around all the time. I'm even more conscious now that I have a Chihuahua, but also. But for Buddy, we put him out on his PlayStation, and the trees encircle him. And it's not that the hawk can't get through, but it would really take a lot for that hawk to get through all of the branches to get to him. And by then I will see it and be able to rescue Buddy. So that's another God thing that happened with those trees. Now, if I had planned it as a human doing, I wouldn't have planned it like that. But God knew what I needed, and it just grew that way. And I feel blessed whenever I'm out there, because I'm in awe of how it developed. Anytime a tree goes somewhere where it wants to be, it grows like a weed. It's amazing to me. We take our time when we plan out, where these trees are supposed to go. And we had aspen trees along the side of our house, and they all died off. And so we cut them down and whatever. And one day I go out, and right up against my hot tub was this aspen tree that was growing. So we let it grow. It was getting a water source. It was happy. It did unearth. It made a crack in the cement foundation that we laid for the hot tub. But it was so happy and healthy there that I couldn't kill it. And it eventually died. It took about 10 years, but it eventually died. But I looked at that one day and I was like, God, I wouldn't have put a tree there. That would not have been in my grand landscaping plan. That would have not been where the tree would have gone. But God seemed to know that tree needed to be there. And that tree seemed to know that it needed to be there. And it was very, very healthy. So the other one, actually there's two more. One is this stick tree that when I got it, it's been 13 or 14 years now. when I first got it, it was just a stick with a little root ball on it. And I knew what it was supposed to be. In China, there is this tree called the Empress tree. And it is, it's amazing. It has these little purple flowers that make these, that when you look at it from afar, they look like big purple flowers because they're in bunches. And, you know, for years, nothing happened. It just would grow leaves and then the leaves would die off. And that was all that would happen. And it supposedly in China, they use those for dowry chests because the wood is so hard. It's perfect for that. And they grow like weeds in the jungle. And so in order to bring them over here, they had to sterilize them so that they could not propagate, right? And so I plant this tree, and probably 10 years later, it finally did bloom. I was in Florida, so I didn't get to see it. It's only about a week long. My neighbor got to see it. She didn't get any pictures of it, unfortunately. But and it's bloomed a couple of times since then, but I'm always out of town when it blooms. It's just crazy. I never get to see the blooms, and that's why I bought it in the first place. But what's funny about that is, okay, so they sterilized it so it couldn't propagate, right? And so on the opposite side of the garden, all of a sudden, I have another tree, another Royal Empress tree. And it's like, okay, it's as if God said, no, you don't understand. That's not where that tree belongs. It's over here. And it's healthy. It's happy. It hasn't grown anything yet. It's been 3 or 4 years ago that it grew up over there. And so I'm waiting for that one to grow flowers because I know it will eventually. And in the South, they grow 18 feet every year. So you cut them down every year, and the most we've ever gotten is about 10 feet. But again, you know, as a human doing, if I had planted the way I planted that garden, I didn't account for that. I had no clue that that was going to happen. And then the other one that just popped up, well, it probably popped up a long time ago, but the pine tree was over the top of it, so we didn't know it was there. We cut the pine away because it was killing my garden, and my neighbor sold his house, so we chopped off our side of that pine tree so that it wouldn't shed the pine needles in my garden anymore. Well, anyway, when we cut it away, we found a mulberry tree. I don't know anybody in our neighborhood that has a mulberry tree. It's just not something that you see in this neighborhood. And, you know, you can talk about birds flying and pooping on the garden, and, you know, they got a mulberry tree from somewhere else. You can talk about that all you want. There's a logical reason why it could have gotten there. But it is in a perfect position. It is like, I have always liked my privacy. And that garden in the corner over there kept my neighbors and I from being able to see each other. And at one point I had some lilac bushes there, and we cut those down because they weren't bushing out. They weren't growing. They weren't flowering. They weren't doing anything. We actually dug them up and stuck them by the driveway, and they've been really happy ever since. But I had those there for that privacy reason. Well, this mulberry tree is in the perfect position to afford me that. And I bring all of this up because trees are very indicative of how God works in our lives. We are designed the way we are because we're perfect. We're already perfect. We just don't see it. We don't see our perfection. We look at all the flaws and we start judging like Gertrude McFuzz did. She judged that little feather. And we really need to take a look at ourselves and have an appreciation for how God designed our bodies, for how God designed our face, how God designed who we are. And again, we're made of God's stuff. So what is there not to be perfect, right? And so I always say, look in the mirror and stand in front of the mirror and proclaim your perfection instead of going, oh, you know, there's more wrinkles or whatever you do in front of that mirror. Find something, anything that you love about your face and proclaim it. There is a lady on TikTok, you know, I'm big on affirmations. There was a lady on TikTok one time that was suggesting that you do informations instead of affirmations. And I thought it was an interesting idea, so I listened to it. And her suggestion is, instead of saying I am beautiful, is to say, why am I so beautiful? Now, remember that the subjective mind fills in the blanks anytime we ask a question like that. So the subjective mind is going to go really hard to work on finding the reasons why we're beautiful, right? Same thing with prosperity, same thing with health. Why am I so healthy? Why am I so prosperous? Why do I have so much money? Why am I so loved? You want to use those informations to let the subjective mind fill in those blanks, right? We're always educating the subjective mind, whether that's through, affirmations or treatment or whatever else. We are informing that subjective mind and educating it so that when you ask those questions, when you do the informations and the affirmations, what you're doing is you're programming that subjective mind to believe it. When we're at the movies and we see a sad scene, we know we're at the movies. We know it's fiction, right? But we still cry because our mind does not know the difference between fact or fiction. It only knows that it is having this experience. And so if we can utilize our subjective mind to fill in those blanks and say why we are so beautiful, or why we are so prosperous, or why we are so healthy, or why we are so loved, then we are actually creating the circumstance for us to actually have that experience, right? And so the lessons I have learned from the Gertrude McFuzz story is envy. We don't want to envy others. We want to appreciate what we have and who we are and our beauty. And then the other part of this that doesn't have anything to do with Gertrude McFuzz, but definitely has something to do with this song, is Lighten Up. We are so hard on ourselves. I mean, seriously. We look at our life and judge it so awfully. And I watched this movie one time about this girl that was born with no legs and no arms, and she gets around by, she has like little stumps off her hips, and she gets around by walking like that. She found this guy that absolutely adores her. He's at the time that the movie was filmed, they were going to get married. I'm sure they're probably married by now. She's in her 20s. And I really thought about that, because if she can find somebody, then any one of us can find somebody. But we tend to get really caught up in controlling everything. We look at a guy and we go, that's the guy I want. Or we look at a girl and we say, that's the girl I want. Instead of looking at what's behind it, I want to feel loved. And if you concentrate on the experience of what you want, the right person just walks into our life. But so many of us are afraid to let go of the control of that. We want to force things. Prosperity is the same way. It was really weird. I usually will only buy Powerball tickets or something like that when the urge comes up from within me. My intuition says, go do this right now. I never plan to do that, because when you're trying to force prosperity, it doesn't work. And when I work on the inside, where I get rid of anything that keeps me from being prosperous, things pop up. Just recently, 2 experiences popped up. One was in my other business, voice search. I didn't know anything about voice search, right? Apparently, no matter if you're registered with Google or not, you have to be registered on 5 different platforms: Siri, Google, I don't remember all of them. In order for when people speak into the phone, find ozone near me, they would need to have voice search on. You would need to be listed on voice search for them to find you. That popped up because I kept getting all these calls that said, you are not verified on Google. And I get mad. I get so tired of those phone calls. So I finally clicked through the one girl and I gave her what for. Bam, 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 And it turned out, she said, well, I'm sorry for the deception. You are verified through Google. It's called voice search. And she explained the whole thing to me. So I got on voice search. And I get these emails and stuff from all these companies that want to do our SEO for, keeping us on the front page and whatever. And so I usually just say, no, thanks, no, thanks, no, thanks. I have been doing a lot of work on that business being successful, a lot of inner work about that. And up pops this email from this lady, and I decided to respond back. And I got on the phone with her, and there was just a connection that I felt with her. And I realized that I wasn't out there searching for this. She's going to start the 24th, which is like tomorrow. And we'll see. But it should make us more visible, which should mean more business. And the point I'm making is that I was going on the inside doing that work, and things pop up for me because I was willing to let go of control and allow God to do the work for me. I knew what the end result I wanted was. The end result is that I want my business to be successful. I don't care how that happens. Honestly, I don't care how it happens. I just want it to be successful. But there was a long time there where I was really controlling about how it needed to look and how it needed to happen. And as soon as I got let go of that control, it just popped right into place. It's like when I met my husband, I had decided I was good alone. I was okay with being alone. And he is not the type of guy that I usually went for, but we've been married 41 years, like it's crazy. So that's the way that works. Health is another one. Like when I was reading about the HCG diet, and it was going to cost $10,000. And I was like, I don't have that kind of money. So I just put the book away and stored it, and then I was watching TV one day. I just kind of had it on. I have it on for noise more than anything. Up pops this commercial about a chiropractor in Pueblo that was offering HCG. So I called to find out how much it was. It was like $800. I'm like, I can afford that. And that's how I found the HCG. And pretty much all of the things that I am taking now were things that just popped up out of nowhere. I'm on Bella Grace, which is a collagen. It's Bella Grace Elixir. It's a collagen. But one of my clients from my ozone business started doing that, and she healed a bunch of stuff. And so I've been working on that. And another friend of mine, when I was going through a lot with my sister's stuff, said, I take my mommy's happy juice every day. And so I started taking this stuff called Zip Slim. Well, it's really for losing weight, but the upside of it is it's a mood elevator. And so I've been on that. So all of these things have been presented to me, not in a marketing kind of way. They just sort of pop into my life in conversation. And that's what happens when you're doing the work on the inside. So this week, I'd like you to practice with me, please. Stop envying other people. Stop comparing yourself to others. You'll always end up coming up short. You don't want to do that. Appreciate what you've been designed for. Appreciate this body that you've been given. Appreciate this face that you've been given, your hair. Appreciate those things and then lighten up about it. Give up that control. Allow God to do the work. Create the cookie cutter image that you want and allow God to fill in the dough. Let's have a prayer. So right now, I just turn my awareness to the infinite power, the infinite presence of God, to that place within me that knows beyond human understanding just how powerful God is, how beautiful. And that is where I find myself, in the midst of God, my very essence, my very life, my very being. It is who and what I am, and every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that ancient wisdom of the ages that flows through me, flows through everyone as God. I know that same truth to be so for the team that God has provided me. Through Lynn, through Faith, through Oz, through Karen, through Elaine, through Faith. For we are all one. And that same wisdom of the ages flows through them as well. Because God flows through all. And it guides them and leads them. So we as a team are guided and led by it. I know that same truth to be so for anyone who is listening today, whether that be in real time or later on. For we are all one. We are connected by it, through it, as it. And there is no place where one leaves off and the other begins. Mitaki Yuasan, all my brethren, we are related. And so this week, I bless the experience of knowing our worth, knowing just how powerfully God is expressing through us in our looks, in our bodies, in our energy, in our minds, in our life. God is expressing perfectly. So I bless this coming week with that experience of this knowingness that that's what's happening. As I bless every name that is in the ministry of prayer, because I do know that whatever condition they are experiencing, the flow of God, the Godness that lives within is the real truth. So I pull back the veil and reveal that truth here and now as I claim their good in their name. I claim it for them as good and very good. And so I give thanks for this, that this is true, to be of the service in this way. And I just let it be. And so it is. Amen. I'm having cursor issues again here.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirits on earth, and who you are, and all you do is blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world.
Thank you, Faith.
Welcome to Mineral.
I love that. It's a really good
chocolate beyond words.
it's a really good segue from me praying into asking for the tithes. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, this is our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and your opportunity to express gratitude for that which you have already received in your life, in your physical realm, and that which you have created in the mind of God and may not necessarily have seen in your physical life yet. So in a minute, I'm going to ask you whether you're here in real time or later on to go to www.oasiscsl.org and say this offering affirmation with me. It's about 2/3 down the page. But underneath that is the Contribute Now button. And I just want to talk about contribution real quick because we are not in a facility. So you're not paying for rent and utilities and all the usual expenses that go along with a facility. What you're actually contributing to is our vision and our mission. Our vision is a healed world globally. Our mission is to heal the world one person at a time through God's messaging. And so we want to get that message out to the global world. And the only way to do that is to market. So the money goes for that. So please, right now, whether you're watching in real time or you're watching later on, please go to www.oasiscsl.org and say this offering affirmation with me, please. This perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive. And so it is. Hit that contribute now button and help us reach our vision through our mission. Thank you. All right. So we have this wonderful team of licensed practitioners from coast to coast who serve our ministry of prayer, which we call the God Squad. The practitioners are the healing arm of the church. So they really perform a very, very valuable service. And they do so in like 3 different ways. One is they serve on the ministry of prayer. So if you would like prayer for something, put that in the comments. If you don't want it to be public, you can always DM Faith and she will let you know, or she will let the practitioners know what they need to pray for. That's the first way they serve. The second way, hi, Cindy. The second way that they serve is that they are available by appointment for a fee for spiritual guidance. So when you call for prayer, you're just getting prayer. You're not getting spiritual guidance. So they do sessions. You can reach out to them through Facebook, let them know that you would like a session, and they will tell you how to pay for it. I don't get involved in that. So some people use PayPal, some people use Wise, some people use Venmo, some people use Cash App, but they will let you know how to pay for it. And then you'll schedule an appointment and they will reach out to you by video chat when your appointment time is. The third way that our practitioners participate is by being practitioner of the day, which is what Oz is doing right now, meaning that they invoke, they benedict, and they're available at the end for a 1-minute miracle. And that is a time not for counseling, but a time or spiritual guidance, but a time for you to share whatever condition you're experiencing, and they will stop, drop, and pray with you right then and there. Today, that is Oz. And if you reach out to him by video chat and he doesn't answer, chances are he's on with someone else. And so just call back in a little bit. And so that's how our God Squad operates. And we're so blessed to have them with us. Also, if you would like to be part of our online community, type more in the comment box and Faith will add you to our public facing group page on Facebook. All right. Brooks and Bailey is a great place to get mala bead necklaces to help you with your affirmations and your informations. Actually, it's more for affirmations. Their informations are just one question and then let it sit and then ask it again. But they have mala bead necklaces that are 108 beads and bracelets that are 54 beads each. So you could use, I suggest you do affirmations 100 times a day. The Buddhists and the Hindus move 1 bead at a time while they do their mantras. And so I suggest you do the same with your affirmations. All of the proceeds go to benefit Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue, which is a very worthy cause. You can either reach these ladies through brooksandbailey0307@gmail.com or you can reach out to them on Facebook. They have a Facebook page. I try to, whenever they're going to have a booth at some event and they share that, I try to share that as well. This is mine. This is a amethyst and it's $60, but they have all kinds of gemstones and they're like $30 and up. So definitely check those out. Faith?
And please check out my metaphysical shop, The Mystic Brew. The website no longer works. However, you can order through Instagram and Facebook just by DMing us. We have intention jars as well as kits to make them yourself and bath salts that all have different herbs that help attract whatever you are currently working on. We also are uploading sporadic Zumba events, so definitely watch us and follow us on there to see the next time we will be going live too.
Okay, thank you. And then we have the Etsy store by Angel Renee that also has intention candles and tea bags that you can put in your bath with aromatic herbs that help you focus on your intention. So check that out. Then there is Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver's music. She, on her website, you can buy the CD. You can't buy it by the song, but you can buy. But her, she isn't able to update it for like how to pay for it. for some reason. She travels around the country singing, and she always has her CDs in the trunk of her car. So if you reach out to her by email, she will let you know how to pay for it, and she'll send it out. She sends it out right away. She's so good about that. The other one is Karen Drucker. And she, on her website, it does work. You can buy it by the song, by the CD, by songbook, karaoke files, all of that. She has a wonderful website. So check that out. We like to support those who support us, and they definitely support us by providing that music for us. So we are very blessed to have them in our as our part of our team. And check out our website at www.oasiscsl.org. There's all the sermons, the video sermons from the last 3 years, and sermons for years prior are on audio. And those are also available on YouTube for the video sermons, and SoundCloud for the audio sermons under S. Tucker. So check that out. Also, go back to our website from time to time. We have new stuff that we're starting to implement, and it's going to, I know it's out of date right now, but we're working on it. So we want you to have the best experience possible. So we are working on it very diligently. All right. We are going to forego the closing song. And so Oz is going to pray us out if he's there. Is he there? Oh, you're there. Okay.
There I am.
Here you are.
I know right here, right now, that God is all there is in me, in you, in everything that we see, everything we experience. It is all an expression of God. And God don't make junk. So I know this is good. And I allow the blessings of God's perfect form to unroll through our week, through our year, and through all of our lives. I give thanks for the blessings that flow from this, and I let them be. And I know it is good, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you. All right. Thank you for being here. I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday morning. We're blessed to have you with us as well. Make sure and tune in next week and every week at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. And until then, stay safe. Have a great summer. Bye. We love you.